The resonance chamber shuddered, a low, throbbing quake that rattled the transparent alloy barrier beneath Alex Carter's palms. Warning lights flared along the curving walls, scarlet and amber pulses blinking in frantic succession. Each pulse cast harsh reflections across Alex's face, sweat tracing lines along his jaw as he pressed closer to the barrier. Beyond it, vanadium particles hung suspended in a containment field, a storm of metallic shimmer spinning in chaotic eddies. Alex's breath came fast, fogging the shield for a heartbeat before he forced himself to focus, pushing everything else from his mind. The station's AI overrode the din, its modulated voice slicing through the evacuation klaxons. Containment breach in 2 minutes. Alex ignored the command, blocking out the shrill alarms and the frantic shouting from the control deck. He narrowed his attention to the vanadium, a wild, living thing, its atoms roiling, threatening to shatter the field that held them. His vision tunneled. He visualized the vanadium's atomic lattice, every bond and gap, every errant electron. He willed it to order, reaching for the deep, instinctive part of his mind where manipulation was possible. Behind the safety screen, Dr. Sato's voice rose above the chaos. "Whatever you're doing, don't stop. We're losing containment." Alex didn't answer. The connection was too delicate, the energy too volatile. A single distraction could rupture everything. He felt the metal's defiance, every atom vibrating with excess power, fighting his will. He pressed harder, sweat stinging his eyes. The faint glow beneath his skin pulsed brighter, a soft blue radiance threading along his veins, tracing the outline of his fingers against the alloy. Gradually, the storm in the chamber began to subside. The vanadium's wild dance slowed, the swirling particles tightening into symmetrical patterns. Alex's mental grip deepened, holding the lattice in place, guiding the atoms into a stable matrix. For a moment, time seemed to stretch, breath and heartbeat lost in the silent communion between mind and matter. Then, as suddenly as it began, the chaos stilled. The vanadium settled, patterns locking into a crystalline order that shimmered with restrained energy. The alarms dulled, replaced by the steady hum of restored containment. "Containment restored," the AI intoned, the words clipped and almost reverent. The field powered down with a sigh of static. Alex let go of the barrier and staggered back, lungs heaving. The glow beneath his skin faded, leaving only exhaustion in its wake. He caught himself on a console, vision swimming as adrenaline ebbed. Behind the safety screen, Dr. Sato hurried over, a datapad clutched in one hand, her face flushed with relief. "That was incredible, Alex," she said, voice trembling with the aftershock of disaster averted. "You saved the chamber, saved all of us." Alex shook his head, still trembling. "I warned you the field couldn't handle that much energy transfer. If we'd just recalibrated." Sato cut him off, her tone gentle but insistent. "Your concerns were noted, Dr. Carter, but your intervention was remarkable. The consortium will want the data from this run. Will—" She hesitated, glancing at her datapad, then met his eyes with a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. "There's more. Tomorrow, you'll be joined by a Xerillian collaborator." Alex stiffened, fatigue forgotten. "I work best alone. My process isn't compatible with standard procedures. You know that." Sato's lips pressed into a firm line. "The Interstellar Science Consortium is funding this project, Alex. Their condition is interspecies collaboration. They want a Xerillian working beside you. Commander Rios will be overseeing security. Non-negotiable." As if summoned by her name, Commander Mara Rios entered, the doors parting with an efficient hiss. She was all sharp lines, military crispness in her uniform, dark eyes scanning the room with brisk authority. "Dr. Carter, well done today." She gave him a curt nod, voice clipped. "The Xyrillian envoy just arrived. They've requested immediate access to the lab." Alex's apprehension deepened. He glanced at Sato, searching for any sign of flexibility, but found none. Rio stepped closer, arms crossed. "No delays," she said. "Their ambassador is waiting in decontamination. Protocol is clear." Moments later, Alex found himself following Sato and Rios through sterile corridors, his mind racing. The decontamination chamber was a place of ritual and security, meant to strip away not just contaminants, but the comfort of routine. Inside, 3 Xyrillians stood in silence, tall and elegant, their flowing garments shimmering with iridescent patterns. The central figure stepped forward, drawing back a hood to reveal crystalline lavender skin that seemed to refract the light itself. Her eyes were pools of luminous violet, multifaceted and mesmerizing. Beneath the surface of her skin, a soft inner light pulsed with every heartbeat. "I am Lysara, second daughter of the House of Sereth." Her voice was melodious, resonant in a way that made Alex's nerves prickle. The words carried gravity and grace in equal measure. Sato gestured to Alex. "This is Dr. Carter, our leading specialist in elemental manipulation." Lysara's gaze sharpened, focusing on Alex as though weighing him on a scale only she could see. "So this is the human elemental manipulator," she said, the faintest hint of curiosity threading through her formality. Alex tried to sound professional, even as her presence unsettled him. "I can influence certain elements, vanadium, silicon, iridium, by mental focus. Not the full spectrum your people command." A subtle shift in Lysara's posture, the barest flicker in her radiant eyes, betrayed something unreadable. Amusement? Doubt? Respect? He couldn't tell. Inside the lab, the tension grew. The vanadium in the chamber, dormant only moments before, began to swirl again. This time not in chaos, but with purpose, as if responding to an invisible hand. Lysara glided forward, pausing at the interface. "May I?" she asked, voice low and clear. Alex nodded, though his instincts screamed caution. She raised a hand to the interface. Instantly, the vanadium responded, coalescing into an intricate molecular structure. One Alex had chased for months without success. Latticework spun itself into impossible configurations, elegant and stable, beyond anything he'd managed alone. A surge of competitiveness flared in Alex. He reached out mentally, attempting to reclaim control, to reassert his influence. Nothing happened. The metal resisted him, stubborn, drawn to Lysara's touch. He pushed harder, sweat beading on his brow. The resistance intensified. Suddenly, alarms shrieked, sharper than before. The containment field blazed with violet light, the vanadium vibrating so violently it blurred into a solid sheet. "Status?" Sato called, voice edged with panic. Lysara's eyes widened in alarm. "Our abilities, they're—" she began, but the words dissolved in a surge of energy. A brilliant flash erupted from the chamber, a wave of force hurling Alex across the lab. He struck the floor hard, the world spinning, the afterimage of violet fire seared behind his eyes as chaos reigned anew. Alex awoke to the faint antiseptic tang of the infirmary, the persistent hum of machinery, and the cool brush of diagnostic nanofibers over his skin. The ceiling was a grid of soft, indirect light. No windows, no hint of time passing beyond the station's careful regulation. Dull pain radiated from his side, sharp and deep whenever he inhaled. His skull throbbed in time with his pulse. Every muscle ached as if he'd run a marathon in zero gravity. A translucent display hovered in his field of vision. The AI's voice was matter-of-fact. "Patient Alex Carter. Cracked ribs. Mild concussion. Low-level radiation exposure. All within acceptable parameters for duty resumption." "Reassuring," Alex muttered, trying to sit up. Pain flared along his ribs, but he refused to let it show as the infirmary doors parted with a brisk hiss. Commander Mara Rios strode in, boots tapping against the composite floor. Her posture radiated command, shoulders squared, dark hair pulled tight, eyes sharp and unblinking. She carried a datapad in one hand and an air of impatience in the other. "Dr. Carter," she began, not bothering with pleasantries. "Medbay cleared you for light duty. I need a report." Alex rubbed his temples, searching for words. It wasn't a malfunction. The breach? What happened in the lab? It was triggered by the interaction between my manipulation and Lysara's energy field. As soon as she engaged the vanadium, I lost all influence over it. My presence canceled hers out, and vice versa. Rios's jaw tightened, but her voice remained level. "The Xerillian ambassador is willing to continue the project. The consortium expects collaboration. You don't have a choice, Dr. Carter." He almost laughed, the sound dry and bitter. "Doesn't sound much like a choice." Rios's eyes narrowed. "You're alive. So is she. We adapt. You'll work together in a secondary lab. Security protocols have been doubled. Lysara is waiting." Within an hour, Alex found himself standing in a new, smaller lab, walls lined with reinforced alloy, sensors and failsafes bristling from every surface. A transparent panel separated the elemental interface from the rest of the chamber. A pair of security drones hovered in the corners, silent and watchful. Lysara entered with a measured grace. Her internal light was brighter than before, a soft lavender glow that seemed to pulse with her mood, illuminating the facets of her crystalline skin. She paused just inside the threshold, violet eyes tracking the security arrangements with a curious tilt of her head. "Your security is impressive," she said, her tone light but sincere. "On Xyrillia, such interference would be considered distracting. I've never encountered containment fields so attuned to our kind before." Alex watched her, noting the tension in her hands, the careful set of her shoulders. "We've had to adapt. After yesterday, nobody wants another energy surge tearing the place apart." Lysara's lips curled in a wry smile. "On Xyrillia, we train in elemental shaping from childhood, but this..." She gestured between them, fingertips trailing faint motes of light. "This disruption is unprecedented. I could feel your presence interfering with my control. It was like trying to shape water that's already frozen." Alex frowned, recalling the sensation, the vanadium locking him out, the frustration of being powerless. "I lost all access to the vanadium after you touched it. It felt wrong, like the element itself rejected me." She nodded, thoughtful. "And I couldn't reach it again after your influence. The element recognized your touch and refused mine." He crossed his arms, brow furrowing. "So we're two incompatible systems, both trying to program the same processor. Or..." He glanced at the display, bringing up the raw telemetry. "Like two different keys for the same lock." Lysara regarded the data streams, her gaze intent. "Our abilities operate on different frequencies, different principles, but the matter itself is the battleground." They dove into analysis, pulling up energy readouts, neurokinetic scans, and molecular resonance patterns. The evidence was unambiguous. When Alex shaped an element, Lysara's control dropped to 0, and vice versa. Overlaid brainwave data showed interference patterns, sharp, jagged spikes when they attempted simultaneous control. "We'll need to test the boundaries," Alex said. "See if we can alternate, instead of overlap." Lysara inclined her head in agreement. A controlled experiment, isolated samples, alternating influence. They set up a series of microchambers, each loaded with a different element: vanadium, silicon, iridium. Alex began with silicon, focusing his mind, guiding the atoms into a flawless crystal lattice. The energy hummed, the sample gleaming like cut diamond. Lysara waited until the lattice stabilized, then reached out with her own energy. Her influence was a graceful, fluid ripple. She reconfigured the silicon, morphing it into a novel arrangement that pulsed with faint violet light. The molecular bonds shifted, unfamiliar but stable. Alex tried to take hold of the sample again. Instantly, the crystal resisted. His mental grip slid off as if repelled by an invisible force. He pressed harder, and the silicon began to vibrate erratically. The containment field flared, and the emergency systems kicked in, flooding the chamber with coolant and restoring stability. Lysara stepped back, her expression grave. We can't both command the same element at once. Competing control causes energy surges. Alex exhaled, frustration evident. We're like two conductors trying to lead the same symphony. The music just turns to noise. Over the next several days, they mapped the boundaries of their abilities. They worked in shifts, alternating influence on samples, documenting the results in meticulous detail. Whenever Lysara shaped an element, Alex's influence faded to nothing. He couldn't even sense the material on a fundamental level. The same held true in reverse. After Alex finished, Lysara's power was locked out, the element inert to her touch. It's as if our abilities recognize and repel each other, Alex observed one evening as they reviewed the data. Lysara stood beside him, arms crossed, her internal light a steady pulse. Among my kind, unique elemental affinities are rare. It is rarer still to find them in another species. On Xerilia, I was always the anomaly. It is strange not to be alone in that. Her words hung between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. Alex looked up, meeting her gaze. In her eyes, he saw not just the reflection of his own isolation, but something deeper, a resonance of purpose, of recognition. Late one evening, Lysara lingered at her station after the day's testing was complete. The lab was quiet, bathed in the faint violet glow of containment fields on standby. Outside, the stars beyond the viewport glimmered in silent witness. Lysara studied a floating schematic, her face caught in the light. On my world, my abilities made me different, an outsider even among my own family. I was respected, but never truly understood. Now, working with you, I sense that same difference. But here, it feels... She hesitated, searching for the word transformative. Alex felt the shift in the air, a subtle charge that had nothing to do with elemental energy. He moved closer, the silence between them filled with possibilities. I spent most of my career being the outlier, he said quietly, never fitting into protocols, never really belonging. This project, it's the first time I've met someone who understands what it's like to be anomalous. Their eyes met, the shared acknowledgement of their strangeness sparking something unexpected, hope, and the fragile beginnings of trust. A soft chime broke the moment. The doors opened and Director Sato entered, Commander Rios at her side. Sato's face was lit with satisfaction. Rios's was all business. Excellent work, Sato announced. The consortium has reviewed your findings and approved further funding. A demonstration is scheduled for next week. We need to show them what's possible. Together. Rios's gaze lingered on Lysara, measuring, searching for any sign of instability. Satisfied, she nodded once, then turned away with Sato, leaving the two researchers alone. As the doors slid shut and their footsteps faded, Alex found himself standing beside Lysara in the violet-lit lab, surrounded by the hum of possibility. The silence between them was charged, not with fear or rivalry, but with something new, a sense that their compatibility was more than scientific. It was a catalyst, a transformation waiting to unfold, and neither of them was alone anymore. Weeks blurred into one another, marked by discovery, frustration, and the slow burn of trust that built between Alex and Lysara. Their work became a rhythm, a dance of alternating turns, shared laughter over failed experiments, tense silences broken by insight. Initial caution gave way to respect, and respect blossomed into a subtle, growing intimacy that threaded through the hours they spent together beneath the station's perpetual, artificial night. They tested the boundaries of their abilities, charted the limits of what they could not do alone and what they might achieve together. Data scrolled across holographic screens in a constant flow: molecular structures, energy curves, neural telemetry. Yet, it was the quiet moments that mattered most. The times their hands brushed as they reached for the same datapad, or when Lysara's luminous eyes lingered on Alex just a heartbeat longer than necessary. One night, the lab glowed with soft lavender light, containment fields set to stand by, the hum of the station reduced to a distant murmur. Alex leaned against the console, fatigue etched in his features, while Lysara watched him from across the chamber, her crystalline skin shimmering gently. She broke the silence with a question that hung in the air between them. "How did you gain your abilities?" Alex hesitated, glancing down at his hands. The scars on his knuckles were faded, reminders of a past that never quite left him. "When I was 14, there was an accident, a containment failure at my father's research lab." His voice softened. "There was a burst, radiation, experimental fields, things we still don't fully understand. I survived, but I wasn't the same. Afterward, my family tried to protect me, to keep me hidden, but they were gone within a year. I devoted myself to understanding what set me apart. Science was the only thing that made sense." Lysara absorbed his words in silence, eyes reflecting the sorrow and determination in his voice. "On Zerilia, it is different," she said at last. "Our awakening is ceremonial. At a certain age, we gather in the Temple of Harmonics. The elders channel the energy of the crystal fields, and those who resonate are chosen. I was one. My gift was strong, but I did not belong. Powers like ours create distance. Even among my own, I was set apart, isolated, shaped by rigorous training. Connection was rare." Their eyes met across the room. In that instant, the laboratory faded away. No containment fields, no data streams, just two anomalies linked by the echo of loneliness and the search for meaning. It was a connection that defied scientific language, a silent understanding that pulsed in the air between them. Suddenly, the station's AI shattered the quiet. "Warning. Anomalous element activity detected in Chamber 2. Alex and Lysara locked eyes, startled, then instantly in motion. They moved as one, racing down the corridor to the secondary lab. Chamber 2's viewport revealed a sample that should have been inert, now pulsing with inner light, its metallic surface shifting in a rhythm neither of them recognized. Alex scanned the controls. "This sample was stabilized days ago. It shouldn't be active." Lysara accessed the data feed, her fingers gliding across the holographic interface. "It's evolving. The molecular structure is reorganizing itself. Our manipulations are still interacting, something we missed." They reached for the manual controls at the same instant, hands brushing over the sensor pad. A jolt, a spark, subtle but unmistakable, leapt between them. Both recoiled in surprise. "Did you feel that?" Alex asked, searching her face for an explanation. Lysara's eyes were wide, a flush of light beneath her crystalline skin. "Yes, our energies." She hesitated, voice trembling with awe. "They're synchronizing." She turned, her expression resolute. "We need to test this, deliberately." Lysara extended her hand, palm up, inviting. Alex hesitated for only a moment, then pressed his palm to hers. The contact sent a wave of warmth through his body, a tingling surge that ran from his fingertips to his chest. Around them, the air seemed to thrum with a new resonance. On the console, data spiked. In the containment chamber, the sample that had been unstable moments before settled into perfect symmetry, each atom aligning in a flawless crystalline lattice. The pulsing light faded to a gentle, harmonious glow. "Remarkable," Lysara whispered, her voice barely audible, as if anything louder might shatter the moment. Alex found himself unable to look away from her, captivated by the way the lab's light played across her luminous features. Their hands remained joined, the echo of the spark still passing between them, a current neither wanted to break. In the hours that followed, they designed experiments to explore this newfound harmony. When their powers combined, Alex focusing on shaping the atomic core, Lysara attuning the electron fields, they created molecular forms neither could have produced alone. The results were impossible by any known standard: stable, harmonious, and entirely unique. Word of their success spread through the station with the urgency of rumor, and Director Sato moved quickly, scheduling a demonstration for the consortium's observers. But as excitement mounted, unease crept in. Late that night, Alex, unable to sleep, delved into the station's encrypted network. Files hidden deep within the consortium's database caught his eye. Project reports, security briefings, all stamped with military clearance. He read through them, his unease solidifying into dread. References to dual-user weaponization potential, field application, and strategic deployment. Heart-pounding, Alex found Lysara in the observation dome. She stood at the viewport gazing into the endless scatter of stars, her silhouette outlined by the distant glow of Xerilia's nebulae. He joined her, voice low. "They're not just interested in the science. I found files, plans for military use, weaponizing what we can do." Lysara didn't look surprised. Instead, her gaze darkened, the light within her skin dimming. "Rios's questions have been probing for days. She asks about limits, about range and power, not theory. We must be cautious, Alex. Our work is more dangerous than we realized." Before he could respond, the station's alarms blared, slicing through the silence. Red strobes flashed along the corridor. The AI's voice echoed. "Containment breach in laboratory complex. Immediate response required." Rios's voice crackled over the intercom, tense and commanding. "Chamber 2. Now. Both of you." Alex and Lysara ran for the lab, their path unimpeded by the usual security. As soon as they entered Chamber 2, the door sealed behind them with a hiss of vacuum-tight metal. The lights flickered and a new alarm sounded. Lower, more urgent. The AI announced, "Atmospheric integrity compromised. Oxygen critical in 12 minutes." Alex spun to the controls, finding them locked out. No manual override, no communication with the bridge. "They're testing us," he realized, anger boiling beneath his calm. Lysara's eyes flared with fierce light. "Then let's show them what we can do." The air inside the chamber was already thinning, a faint pressure building in Alex's lungs. He focused, reaching for the carbon atoms in the air, willing them into balance. Lysara joined him, her energy attuning to oxygen, her presence a counterpoint to his own. For a moment their powers clashed, discordant, unstable, then merged in perfect resonance. He reached for her hand. She clasped it tightly, and energy surged between them, a living current, raw and powerful. Together, they manipulated the atmosphere, restoring balance molecule by molecule. The alarm fell silent, the pressure equalized, and the air filled with the clean scent of oxygen. Through the viewport, Alex saw Sato and Rios watching from the control room, their faces unreadable. Triumph, calculation, something else. He couldn't tell. Alex seethed, voice low with anger. "They orchestrated this, risked our lives just to see if we could do it." Lysara's grip tightened around his. Now they know what we can do. Together. Her voice was resolute, but her gaze never left his. In that moment, united by defiance and shared purpose, the true potential of their partnership became undeniable and unstoppable. Alex paced the narrow length of his quarters, boots scuffing the deck in restless agitation. The betrayal pressed in on him, thick and suffocating. Every memory of Sato's mentorship, every order from Rios now colored by manipulation. The air vibrated faintly, a residue of the power he and Lysara had unleashed. He balled his fists, trying to hold himself together. Lysara sat perched on his desk, her posture serene but her eyes bright with purpose. The crystalline planes of her face caught the overhead lights, scattering them into violet and indigo across the walls. Her voice was gentle, yet carried an unyielding strength. On Xyrilia, those with complementary talents are honored, she said, watching him pace. But never coerced. Harmony between gifted is seen as a blessing, never a resource to be exploited. Alex stopped, heart pounding, caught between anger and longing. They lied to us, he said, voice low. Used us. All the collaboration, the trust, it was just data to them. Lysara shook her head, her expression softening. It is not so everywhere. Rare pairs, those with perfectly attuned abilities, are considered sacred on my world. Such bonds are deeply personal and deeply transformative. He drew in a shaky breath, the truth of her words rippling through him. I can't stop thinking about our connection. It's more than just resonance, it's... He hesitated, searching for the right word. It's a pull. I feel it even when you're not here. Lysara slid gracefully from the desk and crossed the room to stand before him. The distance between them seemed charged, every molecule in the air humming with possibility. The resonance between us is more than elemental, she said, her voice low and certain. Desire and curiosity warred within Alex. He reached out, cupping her crystalline cheek in his palm. The heat from her skin was real, familiar now, but layered with something deeper. We should study this reaction further, he whispered, a half-smile breaking through his frustration. Lysara's own smile was radiant, a flicker of anticipation in her luminous eyes. I agree, she breathed, their lips met in a surge of energy that neither could have predicted. The kiss was electric, literally, sparks of blue and violet arcing across their skin, illuminating the room in otherworldly light. Metal objects lifted from the shelves, suspended as if by the force of their union. Water in a glass on the desk crystallized into fractal sculptures, the surface of the liquid dancing with frozen patterns. The air vibrated, harmony radiating out from where their bodies touched. When the energy subsided, Alex found himself tracing the glowing patterns that spiraled across Lysara's skin. Each line pulsed with gentle light beneath his fingertips. He pressed his forehead to hers, breathless with wonder. I never imagined any of this was possible, he admitted. Not in my wildest theories. Lysara's eyes shone with joy. Among my people, such pairs are called harmonic counterparts. You might call them soulmates. There is no greater honor, no deeper bond. He closed his eyes, letting the truth of it settle in his bones. For a fleeting moment, the weight of the station and its watching eyes faded away. The terminal chimed, its sound harsh in the intimacy of the moment. Alex pulled away, reading the urgent message scrolling across the display. Sato's moved the demonstration up. Military observers are coming. He looked at Lysara, panic flickering in his gaze. If they see what we can really do, if they understand our true capabilities, we'll never be free of them. Lysara's eyes sparkled with mischief and resolve. Then we must give them something so valuable, so irreplaceable, that weaponization is unthinkable. Alex frowned. What do you mean? She stepped close, confidence radiating from her. My world has been scarred by those who sought to turn harmony into conquest. I have studied their methods and their failures. If we show them an application so transformative that it transcends violence, they will have to reconsider. He nodded, hope stirring in his chest. I trust you. What do you have in mind? The demonstration hall buzzed with tension the next day. Rows of delegates and military officials lined the gallery, their uniforms gleaming beneath harsh white lights. Admiral Corin Vale, broad-shouldered, expression unreadable, sat at the center, flanked by Rios and Sato. Surveillance drones hovered at the periphery, capturing every angle. Alex and Lysara entered side by side, their movements perfectly in sync. The hum of anticipation was palpable. Alex could feel every gaze on them, could sense the hungry curiosity in the air. He swallowed his nerves as Lysara's hand found his for a fleeting second, a silent promise. He began the presentation, projecting three-dimensional molecular models above the display table. We've created new molecular structures, forms previously thought impossible. Stable, harmonious, and uniquely adapted to their environment. They cycled through examples: self-healing alloys, energy-diffusing ceramics, transparent conductive films. Vale watched, unimpressed, lips pressed into a hard line. Lysara stepped forward, her presence commanding. But our greatest achievement is not in creating something new, but in restoring what was lost. She nodded to Alex. He placed a sealed container on the demonstration pad. This sample contains high-toxicity industrial waste, a legacy of the mining colonies, deadly for centuries, impossible to neutralize by conventional means. Lysara's eyes met Alex's, and together they reached out, energy flickering between their hands. Their powers merged, synchronizing as they focused on the molecular chaos within the container. In seconds, the toxins broke apart, recombining into harmless compounds. The sensors flashed green. Toxicity, 0. A hush fell over the hall. The demonstration screen displayed the results in stark clarity. This could restore devastated worlds, Alex explained, voice steady. It could reverse centuries of ecological collapse. Vale's gaze sharpened. Interest flashed in her eyes, tactical, calculating, but she said nothing. The delegates whispered among themselves, a ripple of awe and uncertainty spreading through the crowd. After the demonstration, Alex and Lysara retreated to his quarters, hearts pounding with adrenaline and relief. The room felt different now, the walls pressing in with a new sense of danger. Alex moved to the far corner, scanning for anything out of place. He ran his hand along the vent, his fingers brushing against a tiny, almost invisible device. He pried it loose, holding it between his thumb and forefinger. "They're watching," he whispered, anger flickering in his eyes. Every word, every move. Lysara's expression hardened, the gentle light in her skin sharpening to an icy glow. She found another device embedded near the door, crushed it with a flick of her wrist. "Then we give them nothing more," she said, voice like steel. "No more demonstrations, no more discoveries. Only what we choose to show them." Alex nodded, determination settling over him like armor. "We'll need a plan. We can't let them decide what happens next." Together, they began mapping out their escape, two souls entwined by science, by defiance, and by a love forged in the crucible of resonance. Their escape plan accelerated, urgency pressing in on every breath. The corridors of the research station seemed to narrow as Alex and Lysara slipped through shadow and silence, hearts pounding in tandem. Each step carried the risk of discovery. Every intersection might hold surveillance or worse, a patrol. As they neared the shuttle bay, alarms blared overhead, scarlet strobes slicing through the artificial night. They rounded a corner at full speed, and Commander Rios blocked their path. weapon drawn, stance wide and unyielding. The cold gleam of her sidearm hovered at chest height. "You're too valuable to lose," she announced, voice steely above the wail of the klaxons. "I'm authorized to ensure your cooperation. Step back, both of you." Alex raised his hands, meeting her gaze. "You don't have to do this. Let us continue our work, independently. We'll share our discoveries with all, not just those who see us as assets or threats." Rios's jaw clenched. She kept her weapon trained on them, eyes flicking between Alex and Lysara. "Orders are clear. Neither of you leaves this station. You're both coming with me." Lysara's fingers brushed Alex's hand, a silent cue, a pulse of trust. He nodded almost imperceptibly, feeling the familiar current surge between them. Their powers synchronized, flowing together as if guided by instinct. Alex focused, reaching out with his will. The atoms of Rios's weapon responded, the metal fusing and twisting into a solid lump. The trigger locked, circuits shorted in a flash of blue. At the same instant, Lysara moved her hand with practiced grace. The air before Rios shimmered, rarefied into a swirling vortex. The commander staggered back, disoriented as oxygen thinned and gravity warped. Her grip slipped. The ruined weapon fell to the floor with a dull clang. Alex and Lysara ran, adrenaline scorching away hesitation. He slammed his hand onto the nearest control panel, sealing bulkhead doors behind them and scrambling the security systems with a cascade of commands. The path to the shuttle bay lit up on his retinal display, and together they sprinted through the maze of corridors, every alarm now blaring their names. They burst into the shuttle bay, the small research craft gleaming under emergency lights. Lysara slid into the co-pilot seat, hands dancing over the unfamiliar controls. "Ever flown one of these?" she asked, voice taut but steady. "In simulations," Alex replied, flipping switches and overriding the launch protocols. "Let's hope reality isn't that different." He powered up the craft as Lysara reached into the ion drive system, her energy boosting the thrusters with a ripple of violet light. Alex braced, reinforcing the hull's atomic bonds, feeling her power intertwine with his. Their energies merged, the vessel shuddering as it broke from the mag clamps and roared out of the bay, alarms echoing in their wake. Stars unfurled before them, the station shrinking to a pinprick behind as they accelerated into the void. In the sudden hush, Alex exhaled, shoulders sagging. "We need sanctuary. Someplace no one will look." Lysara closed her eyes, sensing distant currents. "There is a haven, a remote outpost on the edge of Xerillian space. It's a refuge for scientists fleeing militarization. We'll be safe, for a time." He nodded, setting the navigation coordinates. The shuttle streaked through hyperspace, the tension between them easing but never fully gone. The outpost emerged from the blackness, a cluster of domes and spires nestled on a barren moon, shielded by plasma fields and anonymity. They landed without fanfare, met at the airlock by Dr. Ren Tal, the Enclave's leader, a stooped figure with piercing eyes and the weight of too many secrets. Tal escorted them through winding corridors to a sunlit atrium, the air thick with the scent of alien flora. "Your breakthrough is known across the sector," Tal warned in a low voice. "Every power is watching. We offer safety, but not invisibility." In the weeks that followed, Alex and Lysara found peace unknown since the day they met. Their quarters were small, but private. The pressure of eyes replaced by the gentle hum of curiosity and mutual respect. The Enclave's scientists regarded them not as assets, but as colleagues, their work pursued freely, without coercion. Yet even in sanctuary, transformation pressed on them. At night, blue and violet light mingled beneath their skin, pulses of energy tracing new paths through muscle and bone. Lysara observed Alex with gentle wonder as patterns spiraled along his chest, glowing with each heartbeat. Dr. Tal ran medical scans, the sensors tracing the shifting energies within. You are no longer merely human, nor solely Xyrillian, Tal murmured, studying the readings. Your bioenergetic fusion is unique. It appears stable, at least for now, but it will continue to evolve. One night, in the quiet of their room, Lysara lay beside Alex, fingers dancing across the new patterns on his skin. Her touch sparked warmth and possibility. On Xyrilia, this is a sacred change, she whispered. When two souls harmonize, new elements become possible, energies that never existed before. I sense them now, within us. Our connection is transforming the fundamental nature of what we are. Alex traced the luminous lines on her arm, his own astonishment mirrored in her eyes. What will we become? He asked softly. She smiled, serene and fierce. Something neither world has ever seen. Their peace was shattered by urgent footsteps. Tal burst through the door, face pale, a datapad clutched in trembling hands. "They've done it," Tal gasped. "The military." "They've built an elemental amplifier, based on your research. It can manipulate matter on a planetary scale." Alex sat up, alarm slicing through the haze of intimacy. "But they can't duplicate our connection. The amplifier can mimic resonance, but it doesn't have what we do." Tal shook his head. "It doesn't matter. With enough power, they could devastate worlds, or remake them in their image." Before Alex or Lysara could respond, the outpost's alarms blared. A deep, resonant warning. Outside the viewport, dark shapes approached. Military ships, closing in. Alex took Lysara's hand, his resolve steeling. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The world's first true harmonic counterparts, and now the last hope for something beyond weaponization. Boots thundered through the outpost, the sound echoing like war drums along narrow metal corridors. Alex pressed Lysara's hand in his, guiding her through shadow and confusion as the enclave dissolved into chaos. Overhead, red emergency lights strobed, illuminating her crystalline skin in harsh, fractured bursts. Lysara's light flickered with exhaustion, her steps faltering as if some invisible weight dragged her down. Alex saw the tension etched into her features, the dimming glow, the uneven cadence of her breath. He stopped them behind a bulkhead, shielded from the searchlights that swept the corridor. Without hesitation, he pressed his palm to her arm, channeling his energy, sending a surge of calm and strength through their bond. Where his skin touched hers, blue and violet light intertwined, spiraling in silent communion. She steadied, breathing deep, the light beneath her skin growing more radiant. Their eyes met, and in the look they shared, a silent promise passed between them. Neither would fall, while the other stood. Security teams swarmed behind them, voices clipped and urgent. Lysara closed her eyes, searching memory and instinct, then drew Alex down a narrow side passage. "There's a sanctuary, a secret Xyrillian chamber, built into the heart of the outpost," she whispered. "I can sense its signature." They moved quickly, Lysara's hand skimming the wall until a hidden panel glowed under her touch. With a soft chime, a concealed door slid open. Alex followed her into darkness, the noise of pursuit falling away as the entrance sealed behind them. Within, the chamber expanded into a high domed sanctuary. Xyrillian glyphs spiraled up the walls, glowing faintly in the gloom. A half-circle of elders awaited, their lavender forms ethereal in the dimness, eyes reflecting the blue and violet light that clung to Alex and Lysara like an aura. The eldest, robed in iridescent silver, regarded Alex with wary curiosity. "You bring a human into sacred space, Lysara Sereth?" Lysara bowed her head. "His abilities complete mine. Our bond is not merely science, it is resonance. He is my harmonic counterpart." A murmur rippled through the elders. "One, voice trembling with the wisdom of centuries, warned, "Such unions are powerful, but dangerous. If the balance is lost, devastation follows. The weapon outside these walls is proof. Your adversaries have built a device to force resonance. Without unity, it could unravel entire worlds." Alex stepped forward, his voice steady despite the weight of their scrutiny. "We have to stop them. If they trigger that weapon, the consequences will be catastrophic. For both our peoples." Lysara reached for his hand, entwining their fingers. "Our unity is our strength. It is the only force capable of countering the Amplifier's chaos." The elders exchanged glances, then nodded, granting their silent blessing. At the first light of dawn, the outpost cloaked in ghostly mist, Alex and Lysara moved through the abandoned industrial zone surrounding the military facility. Sentries patrolled catwalks, searchlights cut jagged paths through the fog, but they stayed to the shadows, blending their energies for concealment. They reached the perimeter fence, Lysara's will thinning the air and muffling the hum of alarms. Alex knelt by the metal barrier, his mind reaching into the circuitry, fusing sensors and disabling cameras with a thought. Together, they slipped inside. Within the compound, the corridors twisted like the roots of a great tree. At each junction, Lysara shaped the currents of air, redirecting patrols and scrambling sensors. Alex touched every door, fusing locks and silencing electronic watchers. Their movement was a duet, each action complementing the other, a seamless flow of trust and skill. They reached the heart of the facility, a massive alloy door veined with circuitry and Xyrillian crystal. On the far side, the weapon's power core pulsed, hungry and unstable. Alex hesitated, his breath catching as fear and resolve warred in his chest. He turned to Lysara. "To stop this, we must merge our abilities completely, more than we ever have before. No holding back." She nodded, her gaze unwavering. "I trust you. Whatever happens, we face it together." Side by side, they pressed their hands to the cold alloy. Blue and violet light spiraled from their skin, the colors merging, twisting into a radiant helix that pulsed through the metal. The door yielded, opening onto a chamber that thrummed with deadly power. The weapon's heart dominated the room, a vast core of swirling energy, ringed with containment fields and a lattice of alien circuitry. Sirens wailed as the system detected their intrusion, warning lights strobed. Automated defenses snapped online, targeting systems painting them with invisible beams. Moving in perfect concert, Lysara thinned the air, creating pockets of low pressure that bent incoming projectiles harmlessly aside. Alex reached out to the weapon's housing, fusing metal and shorting out control nodes. They advanced, step by step, as the room shook with the amplifier's unstable energy. At the core, systems spat countermeasures, arcs of plasma, fields of magnetic disruption. Lysara absorbed the chaos, drawing it away and converting it into harmless vapor. Alex pried open a maintenance hatch, hands shaking as he exposed the weapon's neural interface. The resonance between them grew to a fever pitch, their connection the only thing holding back the rising tide of destruction. The core's pulse accelerated, dangerously unstable. Sirens howled, countdowns flashing in every language. "We have to neutralize it now," Lysara cried above the din. Alex nodded, drawing on every reserve, every memory of their shared journey, their escape, their discoveries, their love. He pressed his hand to the exposed core. Lysara joined him, her fingers lacing with his, their energy flooding the matrix. Blue and violet light burst forth, spiraling into the heart of the weapon. Circuits glowed, crystal veins flashed, and for one impossible moment, the resonance was perfect. Two souls harmonized, rewriting the laws of matter. A blinding surge erupted, the weapon's energy collapsing inward. The core flickered, then fell dark. Sirens died, alarms fell silent. Alex and Lysara crumpled to the floor, drained and battered, the last echoes of their power flickering in the air. He pulled her into his arms, her head resting on his chest. Tears slipped down his cheeks, mingling relief and sorrow in equal measure. They held each other as the world changed around them. In the aftermath, the consortium convened under the weight of what had nearly been lost. New protections were enacted, elemental research safeguarded, exploitation forbidden, unity championed over division. Delegates from every world gathered, honoring Alex and Lysara not just for their scientific achievement, but for proving the power of trust, the strength of connection, and the hope born of difference. As the wounds of battle healed, Alex and Lysara recovered together, their new sanctuary hidden far from prying eyes. They spent long evenings beneath the stars, hands entwined, watching blue and violet energy spiral between their fingers, a visible testament to the unity forged by trial and bound by love. In that quiet, as the universe exhaled, their bond shone like a beacon, lighting the way for a future where science and passion flourished, inseparable at last.